I think Lord, you know, kind of way.
Because you look like you're floating up and down in the air.
Oh well,
virtual do that. That virtual background do that to you.
Uh-huh.
I do what I got.
We're streaming live now.
We're live.
We're streaming.
We're live.
Because you look live.
Guess what? We're live. We're live. We are on.
All right, so we're live. Let's Talk About It is on. Thank you for joining us. Let's Talk About It, life experience. So if you are listening to us, please hit like, please hit share. Also, if you don't mind, please host a watch party if you like. Coming off of last week, it was powerful. It was awesome. And we talked about understanding what your values are and really what really does matter. Talked about that last week. It was really great. Had a lot of energy, a lot of conversations about it. And so today we're going to really talk about something great. And it's going to be a testimonial pretty much, and just kind of sharing a traumatic life experience. And this traumatic life experience is my son sharing and his wife, Faith Flanagan, sharing what that was like, helping him going through this trauma. And everybody faced trauma, families face trauma.
Yeah.
And with all the trauma that has happened in 2020, just want to share this experience, which it is something that happened and it took an effect for life. So we're ready to go. We've got Terry on today. We've got Shawana on today. All right, so the girls are ready, and hopefully you're ready. Alfred is on, and then Faye is going to be on. So, hello, Faye. So we want you all to just join in. Help us as we talk about this. And remember what Let's Talk About It is about. It is about discussions, family, fun, exciting. Whatever the life conversations are about, that's what it's about. So much has happened this week. And just a little tidbit, watch out for those stimulus checks. If you haven't already got your check.
Yeah, a lot of people have.
If you get a check.
Yay, for those that will get a check. What you said, Terry, about your check?
Kudos.
All right. So we're excited. We want you to join in. So please join in on Let's Talk About It today. As we begin this, all of us are going to chime in because really and truly this affected Alfred. But check this out. It also had an impact on the entire family. And so that's what we look at. It's not, when trauma happens, it doesn't just affect one person, although the physical thing, it might affect one person. But when trauma happens, it does affect the whole family. And this is a life experience of the whole family experiencing this. And Faye here, the wife, be able to share what went on. So here we go. Let's kick it off. So, Alfred.
You ready?
Oh, you're walking? Look like you're walking.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we've got is that we just want to hear, because you never had a chance. You've had a chance to share your testimony with some people, but I never really had a chance to really share what that really was like. Here was your entire dream, and it was shattered. And what that must have been like, nobody can talk about that except you. So we'd like for you to share just a little bit about that, because as we all remember, this was exactly what you wanted to do. You wanted to become, and you did, to become a police officer. And you were in the fire academy, and then boom.
Not the fire academy.
I'm sorry,
the police academy.
Take that back.
Can't go fire academy.
Not the fire academy. Okay. Let's go with it, because you can just share, just be transparent and go with it.
Yeah. Tell us about it. Tell everybody about it.
Yeah, let's start from the beginning.
Well, you always have a childhood dream. There's always a childhood dream in everyone. And my childhood dream was to always become a police officer, although there were other things out there to do, from the military, being in the military, and then going to the postal service. I'm sorry. What'd you say? I'm floating up and down.
No, that was earlier. So you could go ahead. I don't know where it was reverbing from somewhere.
Okay. But I'm just, you go from having one job that you always had wanted, which was a police officer. That was always my dream. Although I didn't follow through when I went to the military. And then from there, when I came home, I went to the postal service. And I stayed there 15 years. And moved my way up to assistant supervisor. But at that same token, I still had that dream of wanting to be a police officer, and I had the opportunity to become one. And when I took that opportunity, took that chance at a very risky time in my life, because I actually took about a $28,000, almost $30,000 pay cut just to do that and try to become that.
Wow.
But when I did do it, got a chance to go through the police academy. Once I was in the police academy, it's a 26-week class. And I completed all classes, top of the class, except the last 3 weeks, because I had very traumatic injury. I had my neck broken during the training exercise. And doing that training exercise, I don't remember anything but just getting hit. And I remember waking up and I was in the hospital. I heard sirens. But when I get to the hospital, I didn't know what I had. I just told myself I had a lot of pain at the time. I told the nurse, I said, give me some pain pills, finish my class. 3 broken bones in your neck. Going to the hospital, Grady Memorial. I got to Grady. That's when I started not feeling anything from my extremities on down, from my neck down. I wasn't really feeling, I didn't feel anything. And that's when it really set its.
You're going in and out.
You're freezing.
Felt like
Alfred, you're freezing.
Hearing
Alfred.
When I first people, I heard 2 people die beside. I'm sorry, I'm not freezing. That's your guys. Whoever.
Yeah, we're not freezing. I think you're probably freezing.
Yes, you are. No, I'm.
Okay, so as we are moving forward,
There's got to be. That's where you from.
Let's talk about it.
Not from.
Okay, there we go.
Huh?
Okay, now we hear you. Now you're back.
Yeah, that's somebody else freezing. Wherever it's coming live from is freezing.
Oh, then it could be my sister.
But it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, let me ask you this. So what type of exercise were you guys doing when you end up with the injury?
We were in that part of, we think we was doing a pepper spray training, which I found to be that is not how a training was supposed to go in that manner anyway. But I had had 2 guys. You do a scenario, you got 2 perpetrators coming at you, and what you do from there, you got to try to protect your weapon or draw your weapon while your eyes are pepper sprayed. So being that you get that feeling in your eye, that burning sensation, I still had to remember, hey, you better grab that weapon. So I grabbed my weapon. By the time I grabbed the weapon, I got hit on my left side, and the injury was sustained I'm sorry. I got hit on the right side, and the injury was sustained on my left side.
Oh, wow.
Everything on my left side was everything still on my left side from my chest down. I don't have any feeling in it. Can't tell if it's hot or cold. I just know something might be on me, but I don't know what. You can put a hot plate on me and I wouldn't know it.
Wow.
And that goes on even now?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
Okay.
right now. The injury is still now. Because I think how they say how the brain is, you have the nerves that come up, but they're twisted, they're turned opposite ways. So if I got hit on the right, my injury gonna be on the left. If I got hit on the left, my injury will be on my right side.
Mhm.
Tell us about the experience when you, obviously you found out you had a spinal cord injury, and then you had to get transferred over to the Shepherd Center. And there was another person, and tell us about your experience at the Shepherd Center, all the way up to, the people that you were with, that you got a chance to talk to. And then when you left the Shepherd Center, what that experience was like.
What like they rolled you into? They rolled you into.
Yeah, rolled. Yeah.
Right.
They rolled me into once I left Grady Hospital, they rolled me to I didn't say rolled. They put by ambulatory. They took me to the Shepherd Center for better care. And when I got to the Shepherd Center, basically at Grady, to be honest with you, I'm not going to knock Grady down, but it wasn't the best care until I went to the Shepherd Center. And when I went to the Shepherd Center, the doctors there, because all the doctors at Grady from the Emory University, they wanted to operate. They wanted to go inside my neck. They wanted to do this, perform all these things on my neck. But no one would let them do it in front of the family. I guess they took it and said, no, we're not doing that. And then all I know is went to the Shepherd Center and the doctor said, no, we're going to let the swelling go down. We're going to pump him up full of steroids, which is what they did. And I think with all the exercises they were doing, I was in a, what they call it? I was in a paraplegic. Well, I was a quad. I was a quadriplegic.
Quadriplegic.
Not the para is waist down. I was quad, but I was in that paralysis state, that type of state where your hand and knuckles freeze up. But once they got me there doing exercises, and I guess working with you every morning, every day, 7 days a week, I was walking out of there in 2 months.
Wow.
So you stayed at the Shepherd Center for 2 months. You were rolled in and you walked
3
out.
months. It was 3 months. I stayed at Shepherd Center 3 months. I'm sorry. I stayed there 3 months and I was rolled out in a wheelchair, but I was able to walk out. Well, then not far to walk, but to the vehicle. I was able to get up, stand up, and walk to the vehicle, which is good. Actually, I got scared the nurses at the Shepherd Center because I think one night I had to, my brain was telling me I had to use the bathroom, and I got up and scared the nurses because I wasn't supposed to be walking. And everybody in my room was four people in my room, and we all was quadriplegic. And it's just like my brain would say, "Hey, go to the bathroom," and I did.
It was like an absolute miracle.
But he said if I wasn't in the type of state that I was,
I remember you telling us that there was somebody in your room that had the same injury and the same location. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, in my room we had there was 4 people in our room. 2 of us was quadriplegics and 2 was paraplegics.
Oh wow!
And the one that was across from me, straight across from me was a quad, and one next to me was a paraplegic. So, and their injuries were, I guess, my spinal cord wasn't severed. That's the way I was. My spinal cord wasn't severed, but it was damaged. Like if you hit a tree with an axe, put an indentation in the tree, it stays there. That's how my spinal cord is. So the doctor said if you want to break your neck, which people don't want to break your neck, but if your neck was ever broken, you want to break it the way I broke mine. And that's a lot of times not possible. Either I should have been paralyzed the rest of my life or dead.
Right.
Wow. I know
So you walk a miracle.
had everybody, all of us praying. I remember coming from out of town
Yeah.
when she said what happened, and I jumped on the first plane and was flying, trying to get
Mhm.
to the hotel. I mean, to the
I'm tell you, I still can't remember. I don't remember you being there, Swan.
oh, I remember.
Mhm. We all were.
Hey, tell us your experience, because I mean, this was traumatic for you, for the children, just not only
Yeah,
going through this
yeah.
process with him, because
Well,
this totally takes your whole thing. So, Faye, tell us your side. How did this impact you?
Well, it impacted a great deal because at the time when it happened, he called me. He actually called me from the hospital and said he broke his neck. He told me out of his own mouth that he broke his neck. And so
the
at
nurse
that
called you.
time, no,
Mhm.
I physically, well, she called and I physically spoke to you. And so I immediately
Right.
at that
Yeah,
time,
she called. I didn't call.
she physically, well, I received a call and I went to the hospital at that point, not knowing what to expect, not knowing what to
Right.
see when I got there. And, at that time I had, our children. And once once the process started, then I had to separate our children. I had two that were smaller and one that was older that was still in middle school that was able to stay with one person. And then I had my two younger ones to go stay with my mom. And, just going to the hospital every day just to see him the way he was,
Mhm.
it was amazing just to see the transformation because we never knew what to expect. And so during his transition to Grady, when I got there, I was looking for him, and the lady said, "Well, he's lined up around the wall by a number." That was just how many people in
Yep.
the hospital. So, for him to be
Yep.
lined up on the wall for a number by
Yep.
number just to get into a room, it was very, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it was a sad situation at that time. And so with his dad and everybody just, keeping me,
Yep.
comfortable and making sure that I was okay and he was okay, the children were okay. That experience, I wouldn't want to wish that on anybody. Even when he started to come home from the Shepherd Center, I was so thankful that he was able to walk out of the Shepherd Center as opposed to the young men that were in the room with him, and we would go daily, meet with him, be with him. And then when he came home, just to see him fight hard to try to get better every day, he would fight hard to try to get better. And even though our children were separated, we still made sure that he kept in contact with them and they kept in contact with him, that he heard their voice. And when it was time for them to regain, with him, it was hard on them. But I kept pressing and reassuring them that he was going to be okay. And even to this day, it's just a miracle, just a miracle. It was hard, but I was willing to do the work, and still to this day, still willing to do the work, with him to keep his mind, keep him encouraged. Because when you go through an injury like that, you can be discouraged. Some days I didn't know what to expect when we came home. I would never let the children come in the house first. I would always be the first one to walk in the house because I didn't know what to expect, because it was something that he desired to do, something that he had a heart at wanting to do. And when I finally agreed to the fact of him going to the police department, because I was on edge and I was like, oh, I don't think so. And then I finally said, okay, I agreed. Okay, if that's what you desire to do, let's go, let's do it. And then for that to happen, it was an experience, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
So
I would go back.
I'm sure you guys had to go. He had to go to therapy behind
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Not
did.
only therapy,
I
I think.
always I went to actually psychotic. I would psychiatric.
Okay.
Yeah, it was yeah, I had to go through that. Once going through that, when what she meant by not worried about what she was coming home to, I actually stayed I was in my basement, and I lived in my basement for 4 years, and wouldn't come upstairs. No wall, just number walls, not even in the windows. The room without the windows. And I see what she was talking about, because I did have to go through a state of suicidal ideations. I had a lot of those, and that's probably why. And I think that's why I think they took my guns from the house because of that.
Oh, yeah.
But I did have that because the pain was so unbearing, you know, at the time. Couldn't find hard under for a lot of the pain, and then just to have your whole life just crushed in front of you, and you know what's going to happen next. You know, all those worries and things like that become a part of your mind. I think that's what she probably coming from with that on that part of it. But worried about what she's coming home
what
to
year
because
did this happen?
she didn't know what might have happened.
Right.
And this was what year? How many years it's been now celebrating?
2000. I've been since 2006.
Wow.
So that's what 16, 17, 18, like 20, about 17 years or something like that.
Yes, because the youngest is 15, so it was when Trinity was the youngest
was like-
at the time.
She was like
Yeah.
3 months old. She was 3 months
Mhm.
old when I broke my neck.
Oh,
No, when I
wow.
went to the academy. She was 5 months old when I broke my neck. Yeah.
So I know they had you on a lot of different medication, and you were
Iconic.
going in and out of trying to
Yes.
find what medicine to take and what not to take and what was causing different, even some of the psychosis, some of the things that you were even experiencing, some of the drugs. So tell us about that experience, and even now with what you have, just to keep the pain, you know, at bay. Tell us about that.
Ooh, the medications, all the medications I was taking. I think the one nurse asked me why was I taking psychotic medicines. I think it was like different kinds. I didn't know it was psychotic medicines. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just thought of medicine to ease and relieve my pain, which a lot of it was you know, I stayed in the bed. I was always groggy. First day, I probably was on 10 different types of meds I had to take. And I got tired of the medications. I tried to go cold turkey. Yeah, that didn't hardly work. Some of it did over a period of time. But going through those taking all those psychosis medicine, when the lady told me that, I was like, really? And so I started trying to not take them. I would just forget about them. And then some days it felt like my body needed them, so I'll go take one because my brain my brain felt like it's shaking and throbbing. And so they say I was going through withdrawals. But it took me some time, and up until this day now, I deal with a lot of pain in my hands and my legs, but I still push through because I say I can deal with it than being on that medication. I'd rather deal with the pain than deal with the medication. And my pain is every day, and some days is worse than other days, but I still deal with it. And when it's worse than other days, I kind of make sure I try to do something.
What made you, how did you feel?
How did I feel?
No, I'm saying, how did you feel when they said, when the doctor said you could not go back into this kind of work? What was that like?
That was depressing. That was very depressing. When the man tell me I can't work again, and I felt like I'm walking, man. Can I go back? You know, even the police department said, "Hey, come on, you can come on back." You know, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna get better. You know, I was pushing myself to it. I worked myself out to go through it. Matter of fact, to be honest with you, I had it in my where they had tried to impose it in my mind and my mindset then when they was telling me, "Hey, you can't go back. You can't never do this again." But when I went to another police department out this way where I live at, went through their whole and passed they physical agility and everything, passed the whole thing in 30-degree weather and worse weather, and passed it. But I just couldn't get by the chief of police because of the pump that I have inside my stomach, and the pain pump is, you know, will not get me through the academy. Yeah. So let's and even with another department, you would. So go ahead.
Yeah, but no, I was going to say.
Go ahead.
So what do you think that you know, looking back and just thinking about the whole process of it all, and thinking about where you are now, you're vibrant, although the whole body may not be or feel that way, but when people look at you, they cannot tell that you're even experiencing pain. They can't tell, you know, the things that, you know, you've had to go through with.
For
And you look like, when somebody just look at you, look like a picture of health. What do you
Right.
attribute that to? Where did God come in and just really give you the strength to get up, like you said, and move forward, and each day putting your feet, ahead of the other? Because I can remember when the doctor, I went to one of your appointments, and the doctor said, can you, do you have control of your bowels? And you said, yes.
Right.
He said, but I'm looking at your x-ray. You should not have control.
Right.
Oh,
Was
wow.
not that God?
Right. Right.
That just blew me away. Like,
Yeah.
what?
That motivated
He said-
me more, I guess. I guess that pushed my motivation even more. When that doctor said that put, because I knew what I was going through in the rooms that I was laid up in for about a month and a half. And the guys, everybody in their room, they couldn't release their bowels and stuff like that. But I remember this, that one situation where a guy did release bowels, and I was like, man, when nobody had to help me in and out of the bathroom.
So was that your
prayer?
prayer? Is that, God, I don't want to be like that, or if you would help me through it? That was not particularly the prayer from that. My prayer was really when I was in the ICU, and I saw that hand laying down off up under that gurney when it dropped down. That's when I saw that, I was like, you start praying then.
That's when he said, I can give you life or I can give you death. I remember hearing those same words, those exact words. I can give you life or I can give you death. Which do you want?
Wow.
What do you choose? And I'm looking at them, choose. I don't want to be dead. So I'm laying in that bed. The nurse is not feeding me. They thinking I can feed myself. I couldn't feed myself. So all my food just sitting on the side. So I'd rather choose life.
That's it.
That. So
yeah.
I said, I don't want to be that way. Although
Right.
I know I have to endure a lot of things, not knowing what I was going to have to deal with, but I knew I was going to be dealing with some things. And that right there was my prayer, was when I actually saw the hand from up under the gurney that dropped down. I looked over when my head rolled to the right, and I saw that going past my room.
That kind of hit you then. Teresa
That woke me
said,
up. Yeah, that woke me up.
Teresa says that you are a walking, beautiful testimony.
Yes.
A walking miracle. She said you're a walking miracle, a beautiful testimony.
Yes.
And you
Thank
are
you.
a walking miracle. And just remembering
Yeah.
all of the
All
different
of that.
transformations that you've had to go through with, and your family having to deal with that was
Right.
Yes.
that was not easy. And but to see where you are now, giving back, to you're able to give back to the community.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
And then my
see
thing
that.
is, how many women, how many wives would have stayed there like they did,
Right.
taking care of their husbands and
Yes.
nursing them back to health and just being there, you know what I'm saying? And then you going through all your changes and she having to deal with that.
Yeah.
women-
Kudos to her.
Yeah, a lot of
Kudos
women
to
wouldn't
her.
deal with that
I mean, she
because that's a
just,
lot.
yeah. Oh, now she.
And tell us about last week. So we talked about values last week, and we talked
Yeah.
about the encounter that you had last week when you helped the guy out of the car when he got into the wreck. But just the
Yeah.
perspective now that you have on life with the experience that you went through years ago, and then you seeing what took place last week. Can you talk to us about that?
Actually, that was another thing. You talking about, Mama. You was talking about giving back to the community or giving back. Normally, a normal person, riding by, you see a wreck, you just keep on going. Everybody just keep going, keep on about their business. So me and my son was leaving the barbershop, and we was on 75, and we was coming up 75, headed towards 285, and it was all the traffic was like stopped. So I'm in the fast lane, but it was stopped. Then it moved. As it moved, and I saw the vehicle, I saw the vehicle upside down, but I saw somebody hanging inside it. I said, "Oh my goodness, wait a minute!" So I pulled in front of the vehicle and ran. Our first instinct was, like they teach you, police department, hey, first aid. I went to render, because you never know if the car or the windshield or the roof could have collapsed. Anything could have done anything.
Right.
Could have happened. So I went to the guy, and actually the door wouldn't open. So I kept snatching the door, and then I didn't know. I thought it was guy's blood. I told the guy to get back in the car, and when I got the door open and bent the door backwards, that's when I saw all the blood on my hand. And I thought it was him because he was bleeding also. I said, well, shoot, let me just get him on out of here. I got him out, drug him out, pulled him out of there, made sure his limbs were okay, because I know I saw the leg that I saw in there. Seemed like it was folded 3 different ways. I said, oh my God. And I saw somebody in there. I thought somebody actually got in from the other side of the vehicle and jumped in. And but he didn't. It was his dad. His dad was over there. So when his father was sitting there, I said, hey, you okay? I said, make sure his leg is okay. He moved his leg for me. So I drug him out, pulled him out, laid him down. Then his father came out behind him, but found out the blood on my hand was blood from when I pulled the door back. Didn't know they had all the glass on it. And it was my blood I was bleeding, but I still got him out. But the one thing I couldn't remember is when the dad told me that, hey man, my son just bought this, he had on a white polo outfit. It wasn't a real one, not polo, but it was excited. And the dad, we was headed down to the park. We was headed downtown, not for the Super Bowl or whatever it was. What was happening? I can't remember.
All-Star weekend.
All-Star weekend.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. I said, sir, remember, man. I said, you got to remember, your car's upside down. Your life has been saved, man. You guys are good. Forget that All-Star game. He's worried about this. And he's worried about his, I hate to say it and put him on blast, but he's worried about his dope in his pocket and his gun that was in the car that I saw that fell. I saw the gun. I just said, man, as long as you legal,
and his
gun,
white polo suit.
The dope, I can't do nothing about it. I said, but
better get rid of that
and
drugs.
the white polo his son had. I said, hey, this is what we got to worry about is your son. Yeah, so I talked to the guy, but I don't still think, like I told the paramedics, they need to talk to him too and keep him, because I think something wrong with his head if he kept thinking about he was going in and out. At 1 minute he's worried about his son, the next minute now you worried about then get downtown. Come on, man, it's not about that. But the cares of our life, cares of this life. And I'm gonna I might have had some cares in my life and worship some things too. But I care a lot more now with my sustaining the injury. A lot of these things now, I don't even care about it. Materialistic, I was very materialistic. But now, no, it is what it is.
Right.
Good. That's really good.
But to worry about an All-Star game doing that.
Right. That's really
not
good.
Worry about an All-Star game. And your son and both of y'all life is right there upside down.
Almost been snatched.
Like I said, I thought the guy was folded up under the car. It was really looked real nasty.
Yeah.
It didn't look good. And I didn't know that was the steering wheel side till I got in the car. So, but it's just first instinct. That was my first instinct.
So,
once you get out and do that. Now, normally I would just keep on going.
Well, what we want people to take away from this today is that there's always a triumph when it comes to traumatic experiences. You can overcome trauma and a traumatic experience. I think, first of all, God have to bring us through all of this, because I think Alfred said it, do you want life or do you want death? And he said, then he decided at that point, seeing an arm fall out, that I choose life. And that's the whole thing to take away, is that even though we go through trauma, we go through traumatic experiences, only God can help us and bring us out and help us to be whole. And especially when it's a divine miracle, because with the severed, with your, spinal cord, injury, a spinal cord injury, that is that's not likely and to be taken lightly. So we know that God did it. But just to take away that, regardless of what you
basically, I have no room. My spinal column is closed.
Oh, wow.
Right. So regardless of what people go through with and what they're going through with, this is let's talk about it. Just giving you a real life experience of trauma and a traumatic experience and a family going through it, and the family made it through. So this week was a testimonial. Alfred, my son, just kind of shared that was just a little bit of that testimony, because that was years of ups and downs, highs and lows, and having to come back to reality to understand. And then the family having to endure that. and doing so well now. So we're excited about it. So what do we have for next
Alfred,
week?
do you want him to give some just his closing remarks? You know,
Yeah,
something that he wants people to walk away with, just in general, just something just that'll, it could be somebody that's out there that is dealing with trauma or have dealt with trauma, or even just in the midst of COVID, dealing with traumatic,
Man.
dying left and right or what
But
have you.
dealing with the depression and all in itself, Shawana, that'd be great. A lot of people now with the COVID, this is just like COVID to me. Well, the COVID was like my COVID when I was in my basement for 4 years. That was COVID to me. So
Yeah.
being stationary downstairs and didn't know what
Wow.
my upstairs looked like for 4 years. Didn't know what the kitchen looked like. Didn't know what anything looked like. Bathroom, you know. But that was just for me to give to somebody else is to, hey man, don't take life for granted. Because I personally took a lot of life for granted. I personally worship the wrong things, and I thank God for just letting me be able to endure the time I had with my kids, because I didn't know my children either at that time. But to be able to stay at home with them every day and watch them grow up, that's very good to me, very exciting to me.
Right.
And that's what I push for right now, and strive for every day. It's my children now, for them to not to even try to, I mean, they're gonna go through some hard times, but for them to be able to know how to endure and that you can keep on pushing is what I prefer anybody out there to do. Keep pushing. If you think you're gonna give up, I almost gave up several times, but you know, it's not in my will to give up no more. I'm not a give up person. Okay, I'm a
Look at you
striving,
now.
strong person, striving individual.
Hey, do you have some
That's
last
my thing,
words?
is to give back. That's all I would give back, just to stay up, you know, keep hope alive. That what Jesse Jackson said. Keep it alive, because it's true.
It's true.
Keep Jesus alive, amen. Okay.
Keep Jesus alive, but you gotta have hope too.
Yeah. Well, that because you know what? He said,
But yeah,
faith
Jesus-
is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And that's exactly
Hope
right.
for, absolutely.
Hey.
So hope is in there.
Okay.
I just want to share, in spite of what the situation may look like, what it may feel like, you still have to push. You still have to push until something happens. You still have to pray until something happens. You still have to cover them regardless of what it is that they've endured, what they're enduring. You know, you just have to stand firm on God's word and know that he too will take you through it. If he brought you to it, he'll bring you through it.
Always.
All right.
All right. I think we have a comment. And the
Okay.
comment, I believe that Teresa Kelly said, faith is a overflow of God's love and grace. And that's exactly what you did. It was an
Yep.
overflow. God gave you the grace to do it, Yvette. All right. Let's talk about it. We have just had an opportunity to hear live, a real testimony. And so next week, you don't want to miss. We're not going to tell you what it is, but it is going to be great. So keep this in mind. Share this with someone, because someone needs to hear a great testimony. And
Right.
we'll be bringing others in from time to time. So let's talk about it. It's still alive and well. Today, we say love, peace, and increase to you. And hopefully you will know that God can and God will. All right, Terry? Shawana?
See you guys later next week. Thanks, God.
Bye.
All right, Faye and Alfred. Thank you so very much, Alfred. Thank you so much, very much, Faye, for sharing your
You're welcome.
testimony.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Good testimony.
Take
Really good.
care.